What's up, guys? It's Joe. Hey, listen, I just wanted to take a moment out of the day-to-day to interview one of my business partners, but also a mentor to me, somebody that's been in the real estate space for quite a long while. I think you were in real estate before most people could even drive a car. So we've got none other than the legendary Sheldon Steele from Steele Realty out over here with us today. So, Sheldon, awesome, welcome on board to the eXp show.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. No, it's funny. I always kind of make the joke too that I pretty much grew up in a real estate office.
Yeah.
As a kid, it was in there, playing pranks on agents and things like that when my, the thumbtacks and the seats and all that stuff when my parents were running it. But so it kind of evolved. I guess it was in my blood.
Yeah, nice. For some of you that don't know, Sheldon Steele and Steele Realty, they're the oldest brokerage here in Elk Grove. Not just local legends, but also too just a really part of the fabric of the community. Obviously you run a very successful team, an independent brokerage and everything else. I mean, why would somebody that's been around the block as long as you guys have, what would make you transition to, joining a different place like eXp?
Man, it was a big decision, and quite frankly, something that I never really saw happening. I mean, I mean, being independent was all I knew, and we make it, say we were fiercely independent even. But once things, because our brokerage had been 50 plus years, been around. Grandfather started it, Dad ran it, and kind of skyrocketed it for 30 years or so, and then I was in a really good place, had a great business running, everything was going phenomenal, making great money, but I still, kind of craved and had a desire for more growth. I wanted more. As an independent broker, you start looking at that and it's like, okay, how do I make that happen? And really it keeps coming back to two big things, right? One is a significant amount of capital and building in the back end of things to, be able to handle the growth. The other side of it was the time, and that was the big factor to me is, even when you spend the money to build up the back end, there's just no way it computes without you having to put more time into the business.
Right.
That's something that is very personal to me. I lost my mom at a very young age, and I was very blessed growing up, with how involved our parents were in our lives, and that's something that became very important to me. So, spending all of those extra hours in the business, married to it essentially, I just wasn't willing to commit. I mean, my time with my family was much more important to me than that. So, I was in a place where it was like, hey, if I'm leaving a few bucks on the table, but I'm having, much more time and quality time with my wife and my kids, I'll take that deal every day.
Yeah.
And then that was actually when Doug Grace, ended up giving me a call. And Doug's one of those guys that I really respect. He's accomplished some great things. And, he gave me a call and just said, hey, I've left so-and-so's team at the time. He was helping run a flip team that was doing, 100 plus deals a year. And I just went, what? What's going on? What's happening, man? So, he kind of told me, and I said, look, if you walked away from that, I'll take a look, so he sent me over a few things to look at, and it instantly, I saw it. I instantly saw it. It's one of those things, right? They say once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Right.
Some people get it, some people don't. And so I saw it, it clicked. First thing I did, as I'm watching it all night, pulling up videos on YouTube, elbowing my wife in bed, she's like, just do what you're going to do. So I sent it to my dad, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking of doing something, poke holes in it, tell me I'm wrong, give me your advice.
Right.
I wasn't going to throw away, the keys to a 50 plus year family brokerage without his blessing to a degree, right?
Right.
And that's when I knew I was onto something, because the first thing he said is he came back to me, he's like, hey, look, I might come out of retirement. And I was like,
hey, that's a good thing, right?
We're onto something.
When you got Dad excited about it, then there's something that's there. You mentioned something that was really interesting, because I think for a lot of us realtors, right, we kind of just think of our business kind of just, our transactions, but I don't think not very many people look at doing things at scale, and it's like, I remember this guy, in a seminar I saw, said, you got to build the fireplace before you build the fire, and I think too oftentimes the capital, the time, the energy, right, it takes to be able to build, a large-scale business. Most realtors don't have the time to, because we're too busy trying to close our deals, service your clients, right?
Yeah, right. They're stuck working in the business instead of on it.
Right.
Right. And that's, with what we're doing here now, I've never seen a risk reward quotient quite like this before in my life. And so it was one of those things where it made complete sense once we actually saw it. A lot of it, we kind of have this mantra, right, of focusing on wealth beyond just commissions.
Right.
And, what's the exit strategy going to be? How do you get that time freedom? Because, the average agent can make great money, but you are still trading time for dollars.
Right.
Right. And life doesn't change until you can get out of that repetitive. Like, you go out and go sell 30, 40 houses. Awesome. You're going to kill your money, right? But, come January 1, you gotta go do it all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's setting up the back end of things, the residuals, cash flow, things like that, where it allows you to eventually step away. And, there's all kinds of different ways out there to do it. This just seemed to be a path that was going to greatly help accelerate that.
Sure.
And it's proven to be so far.
That's awesome. Yeah, most of the time, right, when we think about building a book of business, I think a lot of realtors get stuck in being self-employed, right? But a self-employed person is still an employee. Yeah, it's your name that's on the door, but at the end of the day, you're a slave to the business, and you're really only as good as your last transaction, And I think what intrigued me about this whole thing, aside from the fact that just seeing, Doug, obviously, this guy has flipped over 750 homes in the Sacramento area. That's more homes than most realtors have sold.
For real.
Right? And then, knowing Steel Realty, you guys have been around since half of us were basically in diapers in Elk Grove, and to walk away from that, there's, obviously there's a reason that people look at an opportunity, and the opportunity is usually, it has to be something that's bigger than yourself, so.
That's 100%. And right, we had phenomenal brand recognition and things, a lot of goodwill within the community that,
of course.
it was, there was blood, sweat, and tears put into earning that. So, like I said, it was a big decision,
right.
Making that move. And even though, right, we can still maintain a lot of that brand recognition and co-branding and things like that. But, the other aspect of it too was, when I was sitting there and, obviously at that point the business was mine. And, any profits generated from the business obviously went into my household. But I think, it wasn't just a decision based on, me and the opportunity for me.
Uh-huh.
Now it gave, as we moved over, the agents that we brought over, well, now they had the same opportunity that I had, right, as a brokerage owner. Now that opportunity is afforded to them. So,
right.
It's not a scenario where you're coming over and just thinking about yourself. It's, how can you lift others up that are around you,
right?
Now I'm able to leverage that knowledge base and experience in helping them develop, their businesses,
right?
So that, if they want to take some time and step away, there's still money coming in. It's like you say, the agents kind of get stuck in that employee mindset of, you're not really a business owner until, what is it, Kiyosaki's saying, if you can walk away 60, 90 days, 6 months, whatever it is, right?
And still run with it.
Yeah, the average agents, they walk away from their business for a week, and it falls apart.
Right, you got the 5,000 emails.
Oh,
voicemails.
Everybody knows if you, go on. I still laugh though. I think going on vacation is one of the best things I can do for business. But,
right.
But yeah, so until you can step away, right, and it can still run itself. But that opportunity, right, for our agents as we came over, basically affording them the same benefits of brokerage ownership, except now they're not, staring down the barrel of their brokerage liability,
right,
and then the capital risk,
right. Which a lot of independent brokers that might be watching this, obviously you guys know the risk, the cost, of running a brokerage, right? And most of the time, most independent brokers, they're not doing this just for them. It's because they have teammates. They've got teammates that have families, and it's this thing that you want to protect the family. You want to take care and feed the family, and so to us, I think that's one of the greatest things is because now, how would it feel when one of your brand new agents, is able to build up a brokerage, like Steel Realty, and to be able to have something that they can pass on for generations.
Yeah.
I think to me that's the most exciting thing. I mean, it's great for our family to be taken care of, but I think the true hallmark of a leader is when you've made an impact on somebody else's life, that changes generations.
Yeah. I mean, right. That's the mic drop. But no, that's exactly it. And everybody's different. But I mean, that's like I said, kind of maybe it's age. I don't know. But at this point in my career, that's what I personally get way more enjoyment out of. I'd rather go help change another agent's life than go close another real estate transaction. Now, don't get me wrong, right, guys? We still love doing deals.
That's food on the table.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah.
We still got to pay the bills on that side too. But no, I mean that's the stuff that gets you at your core, right? That's the human element of it all,
right?
And being able to, I could. A few of our agents pop into my mind that we came across that were really in tough positions, and now we're pulling out of that and have something to strive towards that they're working towards, and it's one of those, a rising tide raises all ships, and
right.
It's a fun ride. We're having fun again.
Yep. I mean, look, two guys that are very old school. We don't really understand all this stuff, but the fun thing is I'll say, I mean, obviously, one of the things that I've really appreciated is just the camaraderie. There's like a brotherhood and a sisterhood that you have here that just, for a company our size, to make it feel small. Small and intimate enough where we can focus on the relationships.
Well, yeah, I mean, right, this industry is relationship based in a lot of aspects, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that passes through to your clients even. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's what we try and preach to focus on too is. Don't get stuck in the transactional side of it. But yeah, I mean, just right, the structure of the company itself is, I think, what lends itself to it. I mean, this industry naturally, I think, was more divisive. A lot of people kept things pretty tight to their chest. Yep. And that was probably the most eye-opening thing, when we did make that move over, is all of a sudden, as an independent, right, we were really kind of constrained by our limits, geographically. I mean, we could really only reach so far.
Right.
Now the collaboration that's going on is, across the U.S. and now into some other countries as well. I mean, we've got an agent now who's establishing these relationships and probably bringing some people on in South Africa.
Wow.
Like, right? My little brokerage, bordering on Elk Grove in Wilton, California, was never going to be able to have transactions occurring in South Africa, right? We've got transactions going on in Florida and Washington. Like, that wasn't even fathomable before.
Right.
So when you start to look at it from that aspect, it really is a game changer. And then the people that you come across and just the willingness to help. I mean, like I said, once we came over here, it's like everybody's an open book. I mean, people have spent, countless dollars and time and effort into building these systems and marketing and whatever it may be. And here it's like, man, you pick up the phone or shoot off an email and it's like, yeah, what do you need? I'll send it to you right now.
Right.
I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Right. So for the independent brokers that might be watching this, obviously, I think the biggest concern most people have is, well, I've spent a lot of time, I've spent a lot of energy, building up my office, building up my team. Why would I want to give all of that up, and pursue something like eXp?
That's a great question. No, and there's probably a few different ways to look at it, right? I mean, when you really sit down and do the numbers, I will guarantee with certainty that this side of it is going to outpace the other side every single time, right? And that's when it gets real. Like, let's sit down, let's reverse it and break it down, and we can do that, right? I mean, we've got the knowledge base to help the people to do that. We look at one of our partners, Don. I mean, man, this guy built 10 brokerages from the ground up, right? The most successful, and I'm going to try and do this without saying the other name, but right, one of their most successful brokerage, or profitable, I should say, in their entire franchise system,
right?
And then he ended up having 30 plus of them, but And that goes on.
How
and
many offices?
on. It was over 30.
Okay, that's a 3 and that's a 0, you guys. Okay, for some of us that are like, okay, maybe we've got one office. This is a guy that had 3 0.
Yeah.
offices.
So when we get into just about any problem an independent broker is facing, right? We've seen it, or we know somebody who has, and can help guide them through it. But and then it kind of circles back to the other side, right? You mentioned these smaller, independent boutiques, things like that, right? Everybody does become a family, and in this case, it's like giving your children the keys to the kingdom again, right? I mean, you're giving them the opportunity to create something sustainable.
Right.
Right. It's not just, hey, get out there, go close another deal.
Right.
Let me help you with that. It's, let me help you build wealth that's going to affect you and your children's lives.
And your children's children.
Yeah, and that's the biggest key is, right, showing them, not everybody wants to be the 80-year-old agent out there opening lockboxes, right?
If I'm 80 opening up lockboxes still, bro, I'm going to beat you up.
Yeah, so, I mean, how do we help our people make sure they're
no
not...
offense, by the way, if you're 80
in that scenario.
Hey, you know what? Retirement, you can do whatever you want.
How many realtor retirement parties you been to?
Not
Right?
many.
I mean, so it's, giving them that opportunity, helping them get there. And, that's the biggest part of it is I guarantee you, right, we can, whatever their growth rate is now, I mean, we're going to blow that out of the water.
Right.
And most of these independents, when you strip out, the broker's production, because almost every single one of them, the actual broker is still in production. Almost every scenario, if you strip out their production, that brokerage is making hardly any money, if any money at all.
Right.
So it's just a better way, flat out.
Yeah, true. So, well, thank you for your time today, Sheldon. I know that we've got, stay tuned because we got a lot more things. I don't know if you guys know, but we're going to be doing a lot of different interviews. My goal is to really highlight, some of the most well-known teammates that we have that are known here in the Sacramento and the local area. But the great thing I think about just our team in general is the fact that, for a team our size, which I don't know if you guys know, but eXp I think hit over 36,000.
It's hard to even keep up anymore. Yeah, last number I saw was 36,000. I mean, the numbers are. Yeah, I mean, we could be at 38, 39.
Right.
Who knows by now?
Who knows? But at the end of the day, I think really it's the relationship that we formed. One thing that I'll say personally about Sheldon is when the first time I ever met you and Doug, I just saw that he was all about, really family first, right? Business second, and really about taking care of others, And to me, that spoke volumes because at the end of the day, a deal is a deal, but family's family, and if I could see the fact that we're not money driven, it's really just having a platform where we can rise, like what you said, like, what was that saying?
Yeah, I mean, we want to be able to bring others up with us. I mean, right, making money is great. Making money is so much more fun when you're doing it with your friends.
Exactly, right.
And being able to bring others, along the ride with you. It's just not as fun if you're doing it alone.
Yeah, I mean, alone's cool, but I'd much rather have 100 of our teammates sipping Mai Tais in Cabo, right?
I'm down.
Than 2 or 3 guys out here just working all day, every day, and that's it, right? I mean, burnout's a reality in this business, and I think, we found the secret sauce, so.
Yeah, no, it's this business is hard enough as it is, so, I mean,
It is.
People just be a little more authentic, a little more real, a little more honest.
Yep.
It makes it so much easier.
It does. So thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you guys again on future episodes, and we'll see you guys soon, right? We'll see you at the top.